Mr. Darren Criss stopping by USA Today. Darren, it's great to see you.
What's up? Ralphie to the rescue.
That's it. Here I am, here you are with Maybe Happy Ending on Broadway. It was very well received in Asia. It came to Atlanta. Now it is here in New York. When did it get onto your radar, Mr. Criss?
It's the people that have been working on it for many years. I've been colleagues and friends for many moons. I probably caught wind of this around 2020. So bad timing for obvious reasons that I'm sure our viewers can put together in their heads. So it's been floating around, but iterations of it have happened many times through the years, and as you mentioned, it was and continues to be wildly popular in South Korea, where the show's originating production came from. But this show is about as Korean as Romeo and Juliet is Italian. I think it's just where we set our scene, and I think to categorize it as a South Korean or Asian show, I think does the show as a whole a disservice. It takes place in South Korea, but it's in the future in a different kind of universe and has such universal themes to it that I really don't think it's the end-all and be-all of what the story is. But heard about it in 2020, and as these things tend to be, it's all about timing and the stars aligned. And Michael Arden, who's been a longtime friend, who's a wonderful director, had a really wonderful vision for it, and our lead producer, Jeffrey Richards, I did the revival of American Buffalo with. So the alchemy was in our favor, and here we are, and it's a show I'm madly in love with and love talking about. So ask me anything, Ralphie, because I got answers.
Saw you in American Buffalo.
Oh, thanks, man.
Incredible.
A little different than what we're doing.
I mean, a lot different. But, you know, the one kind of through line that I wanted to bring up here, because, you know, obviously a very untraditional stage with American Buffalo. However, now Belasco Theater, traditional stage, but not a traditional set design.
Yes.
So how does all of that affect you as a performer?
Well, I mean, it's wildly exciting on a technical level. I think when you think of what people are looking for when they see a Broadway musical, you think of three things. You don't have to know a lot about Broadway, all right? You want some kind of spectacle. You want the music to be something memorable and beautiful and hopefully accessible. And you want to be moved. You want to be moved in some way. Guess what? We got a full house. We got a full deck, baby. I think the music is... and I use this word very, not lightly, there's an accessibility and a familiarity to this music that already feels classic.
Hoping that you feel all the things I feel, wishing that you want me to sit beside you.
And I'm not just one of those people that's saying that for the sake of trying to sell the show. I think I would challenge people to disagree with me, and I'd be curious to see if people feel the same. But there's a real inviting quality to this music that even though it will be new music, I think it has an instant connection to people. Now you were talking about the set and the technology. People go to the movies and they go to the theater to be wowed, to be dazzled, and there has been a very popular, and I dig it, but very popular usage of the sort of anti-that, which is the minimalist, sort of abstractionist, expressionist version of broken down versions of shows, which I also love. There's a time and a place for that. This is the opposite of that. This is spectacle, 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 and if people are looking for something that they have never seen before, and I really mean that, I think the show fits that bill. But even without all those bells and whistles, we've done this show just in rooms with chairs and a piano, and the actors on stage and the people in the audience are still wildly moved by the story. It's a story that is one that is kind of ancient. You know, two unlikely people may or may not fall in love and go on an adventure together. This is the basis of many stories throughout thousands of years of storytelling, except it's done in a very contemporary setting, which is 100 years in the future, where these two, what we call helper bots, who are kind of like retired and obsolete past their time, kind of hatch this adventure to find their former owners and come into contact with them. Not unlike the idea of two people in an old folks home, perhaps in hospice, trying to break out and maybe connect with some of maybe their children. But if I was selling that as a musical comedy, you'd be like, that sounds a little depressing. So to displace that in this story about robots in the future and have it be a musical suddenly gets you behind the idea of battery life and obsolescence and things that are perhaps a little more grim and sad. And it ties it up in this really beautiful, fun love story that I think, again, is very, very moving for anybody that has a human heart.
When you're in love, only have the thing you want. When you're in love.
I've talked to multiple people who have seen it already in previews, and they left crying Not because they didn't like it, by the way.
Let's hope. Jury's out, but I'm pretty sure that's not why.
But because they were moved. When you hear that as the lead in this, what do you think?
I totally get it. I mean, I'm playing a non-human. So the one thing that I want to do the entire time is cry my eyes out. Not because I'm sad, but because there is so much resilience to this show. To say that the show is about loss, I think is, again, maybe as misleading as if I was saying that it was a Korean show. I mean, these are components of the show. But there are two ways to look at everything. You know, it takes one of the most difficult concepts of life, which is the inexorable end and the loss of things and the fact that we all do have the battery life, and flies that ship with the opposite end of the spectrum, which is the hope of what you get to do with it, and the resilience of that, and the joy and the romance of that, of what you get to do, that age-old paradigm of, you know, is it better to have loved and lost to never have loved at all? And, you know, if it is so painful to lose something and for things to have an end, then why do we love it all? And there's a song in the show which is kind of the question posited throughout the show, which is why love? Why do we do this? And I think the show really does a good job of answering that. And I think anybody who has ever loved or lost in any degree, you know, loss of a relationship, loss of a job, certainly of a person, someone in their life, anything that you've loved in life, people will put that experience, because these robots are not human. So the one thing that I can't do is really process that in a human way. So the only people in the room that can do it is the audience, and with any luck they do, and it is a very moving experience. So for me, every night, every show, there's like, I just need like a good 5 minutes to cry it out after the show, because the entire show I'm just like gripping on for dear life not to do the one human thing that like you want to do the most.
Yeah, the amount of restraint that you have to show must...
So that's a lot.
Is this like the most maybe in your career, or like right up there? Or, I mean, what is that like for you night in and night out?
Well, I mean, every show and every character has its own sort of, you know, obstacle courses. The irony of this one being that usually when you're moved by a piece, you know, you ride that wave. You let what's happening in the moment in a story affect you. The irony of this performance, at least as playing like robots, whatever that means, is that you are trying to not be affected in a human way by the things that are happening in the story and what's happening on stage, which is directly antithetical to what you learn as an actor, which is to let those moments move you in real time.